What's up, guys? Rick here with your preview for this week's Houston Open, a very fun but difficult golf course with a very unique top-heavy field. We'll look at it through a data perspective and see if we can find any interesting nuggets or edges along the way. Before I jump into that, I'll show it to you quickly here because it doesn't seem like it's going to last long. Our listener league on Splash Sports that we have done such an excellent job of filling each and every week is already over 100 entries. That is already 15% of the way full, and it is very, very early on a Monday morning. So this is going to fill. It is $15,000 guaranteed. It's a $20 entry. Very good. We've been kind of testing out a couple of different payout structures here. So let me know if you have any feedback on this, but somebody's going to win $1,900. It's completely guaranteed for this purse from Splash. It's one of 6 tiers, and then your lowest score gets dropped. It's been a really fun contest every single week, and I'm always good for my donation along the way. The link for that and everything is always in the description. Let's talk about this golf course. It's Memorial Park, and remember, they redid this a handful of years back, and it is starting to become a pretty good challenge on the PGA Tour. You know, the length to par ratio, the 7,400 yards on a par 70 is always going to keep score to par in check a little bit. It's not, you know, an inflated 71 or 72 or something or something like that. So the score to par is always going to be kept in check. But you know, you look at some of the ways that these holes play out. There's a lot of difficulty getting into a rhythm at Memorial Park, if that makes sense. You know, there are not 2 holes on this golf course that played consecutively under par last year to an average. And sometimes you'll see guys that can go on runs. You know, you play the easy stretch of holes and then you just hold on. This is somewhat unique. There are 5 or 6 holes that will probably play under par, but they're spread throughout the scorecard. So I just wanted to point that out. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything, but I thought it was an interesting little nugget because it's hard to get into that stretch of birdie streaks. It's hard to get into that momentum that allows for a lot of really low rounds. You just kind of have to pick and choose your spots along the way. If you look at this from the satellite imagery, what I like about this course, and I can kind of flip through, you know, it is narrow fairways in most spots. You know, here's number 8. This is a drivable. I guess I probably should have gone back here. It's a par 5, very, very, very straight hole, 25 to 28 yards in most landing areas, and then you get a few yards of rough, and it's not super thick rough, but you know, 2 inches of Bermuda is just annoying enough. 2.5 inches, maybe 3 inches by the time the week is over. Just annoying enough, just difficult enough to determine how it's going to come out of there. And really, the green complexes play quite a bit of defense. You know, you're not seeing a lot of defense around these greens. A lot of times it's a lone green side bunker, right? Like you're seeing here on number 11, a lone green side bunker. Here's another example of that on number 12. Just one greenside bunker that's not a great spot to be, and then the short grass that kind of collects and rolls everything down. This is not thick rough around the greens where you're just going to be able to you know, open up the club face and hit kind of a chunky splash type of shot. No, and you can see even from the satellite imagery, which is very much 2D, obviously. So here on 13, I mean, you can see to be able to see the undulation, to be able to see the drop off on the right side of a green like that, it's pretty steep from the 2D imagery if you're able to see it. But again, no bunkers here, right? I mean, the protection of this golf course or around the greens and on the approach shots is being able to stop it, get it to stop on the green, and then if you do miss, you know, you're not only rolling away, but you're going down to a kind of shaved down area, a tight spot that, you know, guys don't particularly like that. But as I've clicked through, you know, a lot, like 6 or 7 holes here, have we seen a single green yet that has had more than one bunker? Can I find one? It's either 0 or 1. I just love what they did to this golf course. Couple, you know, some holes with water in play. They did such a nice job with this course, and I believe it gets pretty rave reviews from the play. This is a public course as well, which I always love, a municipal golf course. So this this does get fairly high marks from me, just all things considering the type of test it's going to ask for. If you look at the model, the regression model for this week, and this is a smaller sample size worth of data. Not only has the Houston Open not been as around as long, but the switch to Memorial Park and then the work that was done. Also, it's moved around the schedule a little bit. It used to be a fall event. Now it gets the full on main schedule treatment. So this data is not as quote good as Colonial or somewhere where we've gone for 70 straight years in every year of the shot link data. But I think we do have enough to make some interesting decisions here. So the two things that stick out to me immediately is how valuable the short game is. So strokes gained around the green ranks 7th. That means there are only 6 other courses in which strokes gained around the green is more correlated to success than here at Memorial Park. Strokes gained putting is 3rd, which means there's only 2 other courses in which strokes gained putting is more correlated to success than here at Memorial Park. That's crazy. To have 2 of those short game stats, approach's value is quite high, but compared to other courses on approach, 43rd. Driving distance, 32nd. Driving accuracy, a little bit better, 20th there. Strokes gained off the tee, obviously a combination there, is 14th. So, wow, okay, we're putting together a profile here. If you look at the secondary stats, these are stats that are wonkier, but we'll start to tell a story here. The first 4 stats are all putting stats. Average distance of putts made, putting average, putting from greater than 20 feet, putting from 10 to 15 feet. Scrambling is 5th, and that is also a partially putting stat. Then 3 putt avoidance. So, I mean, you are looking, boy, we are just building a statistical profile right now of short game players having the best success at this golf course. Here's the adjusted fits. Rory McIlroy, of course, gets a great adjusted fit over the last 36 rounds. He's been the best player in the world. Alex Smalley, we are going to talk a lot about him. Scotty Scheffler and Minwoo Lee are your top 4. Then Brandt Snedeker, who doesn't play a lot. And then Jacob Bridgman is there as well. A pretty good stout challenge off the tee. This is whether you get the reward for driving accuracy or driving distance. And again, kind of back and forth, distance, accuracy. Distance, accuracy, distance, accuracy. This is a golf course that kind of keeps you on your heels quite a bit for not having. I think this is, again, I don't need to rave about Memorial Park for the next 45 minutes, but this to me is a golf course that is not tricked up, yet difficult, also public. I mean, it just gets really high marks for me. It can challenge amateurs and recreational players. It can challenge the professionals. It's just such a great. I got to get down here. I've been looking at this play. I got to get down to Memorial Park one of these days. I would love to get out there. So here's what we've got here. We've got a golf course that is going to ask you to be really stout in your short game. It's going to ask you to make par a lot. It's going to ask you to avoid bogeys. It's going to ask you to, take advantage, of course, of the par 5s. That's basically 40% of your scoring opportunities are going to come on number 3 and come on number 8, which are the 2, and 16, excuse me, the par 5. So those 3 par 5s that are, the majority of the holes that are going to play under par. Just really love this setup here. So let's also what that means is you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 par 3s, which is also unique. So you've got the 5 3s, the 3 5s. That's how you get to 70. Is interesting. So very unique stuff. I love this. Also, if that wasn't unique enough, let's look at the cheat sheet. Everything you see from here on out, which you already saw some of it on the course key stats, is my website, RickRunGood.com. I built a giant data website for fantasy golf and golf betting and golf metrics and golf data, and it's my baby, and I love it, and you'll love it too. I think it's a pretty good time to sign up, considering we are 2 weeks away from the Masters. I'll be in Augusta. In two weeks from now, I will be doing this video, probably from Augusta, Georgia, which is absolutely craziness. So now would be a pretty good time to get in. Here's the uniqueness of this field. Incredibly top-heavy. I called last week top-heavy. I stand by that. I've not seen where basically you have the top 2 players in the world and then player number 35. What is JJ Spawn, right? If you look at the betting odds for this week, Scotty Scheffler's like 3.5 to 1. Rory McIlroy is like 7 to 1. There is nobody from 7 to 1 until JJ Spawn, Aaron Rai, that group of golfers at 30 to 1. I was looking through my database. I could not find another instance of that where you have two guys that short and then a massive gap. So just an incredibly top heavy field here. Incredibly top heavy. So you look at this and you say, okay, well, Scotty Scheffler versus Rory McIlroy. I obviously feel you cannot go wrong with either one of these golfers. They are the two best players in the world. What I do think is worth pointing out is that over the last 36 rounds, Rory McIlroy has been significantly better than Scotty Scheffler, and that's something that we haven't been able to say in a pretty long time, at least a couple of years. If you go and look from just the start of 2025, obviously Scotty's year got off to a little bit of a slower start as he had the injury and then tried to working his way back into everything. They are still number one and number two, but Rory McIlroy is gaining 2.27 strokes to the field. Scotty Scheffler is gaining 1.5. Scotty Scheffler much closer to JJ Spawn and Alex Smalley than he is to Rory McIlroy. So it is fairly clear that Rory McIlroy is the best player in the world. I think his skill set sets up, you hear, I wrote about this a little bit in my newsletter. Go check it out. It's 100% free, rickrungood.com/newsletter. Rory McIlroy, I feel like he's always a punching bag, but people are acting like his 2025 has not been incredibly awesome. He has played 4 times on the PGA Tour. He has won 2 of those. The driver is absolutely disgusting. The putter is very, very good. And now he's working in a lot more flighted shots, a lot more shots where he is missing to the correct side. He's not putting as much pressure on other aspects of his game. Memorial Park is going to skew more difficult, just like Bay Hill, just like TPC Sawgrass, these places that he's obviously had a ton of success at. His history here, which it is actually at this tournament, it is not at this golf course. So that's what you have to remember. He has not played this event since 2014. That was back when it was held at the Golf Club of Houston. You can throw all of that out. Don't worry about that at all. But I think that Rory is really showing us a new complete version of his game. I'm going to have plenty of exposure to both of these guys. I imagine that one of them is going to be in nearly every single lineup because of the way that this is panning itself out. But if you made me choose between each one, it's probably Rory with a little bit of an edge. Just while we're here looking at the Scotty Scheffler profile, just for kicks and giggles here. He's been very good, right? I don't want to take anything away from Scotty here. He's got 5 starts on the PGA Tour in 2025, no worse than a 25th, a couple of top 10 finishes. Just doesn't get much love because he hasn't been a winner. Love the tee to green play. He is much more in tune with playing at Memorial Park. Last 3 times he's come here were over the last 4 years. 2nd, 9th, and 2nd. Remember, this is the place that Steven Yeager outdueled him and a bunch of others last year, but Scotty was right in the mix. I'd be interested to see. And also, he takes a lot of pride in playing in Texas. Not that these guys don't take pride in teeing it up every single time, but Scotty does, as a native Texan, take a lot of pride in playing in Texas. Tries to play a lot of these events, and he usually plays well. But just as the 2025 version leading into this event, I believe that Rory McIlroy is probably just a nose better than Scotty Scheffler is at the moment. The 9K range is okay. You do feel the drop off, obviously, and you're always going to feel the drop off from two of the top players in the world to everybody else. But you do feel the drop off here. JJ Spawn, who's had an unbelievable year, got into the playoff with Rory McIlroy, fell short. No worries there. But I look at Aaron Rai, who's $9,800, who has really started to figure himself out over the course of the last couple of months. Remember, after the win last year, it was okay. Kind of slipped a little bit. Didn't fall completely off the face of the earth. But I love what he did in Mexico. I love what he did at Bay Hill. I love what he did at TPC Sawgrass. That's the stat profile that you're looking for out of Aaron Rai. Just like gaining a ton of strokes off the tee, gaining a ton of strokes on approach. I do worry about his ability around the greens. You're going to be asked to. I mean, he's going to try to do it differently. He's going to try to hit a ton of greens. Obviously, all these guys are going to, but he's probably going to do it better than most. He is capable around the greens, but I do worry that he can struggle at times. Now, flip that. He has played here at Memorial Park 3 times, and he has been positive around the green in 2 of those years, including an unbelievable year in 2022 where he gained over 8 strokes around the green. I don't need that. I need like a point 0.5 to 1. I need him to just not give away 3 strokes around the green. So I'm hoping that the good vibes, the ability to do it well around the green is going to be in play for him this week, and the rest of his game I don't have much concern over whatsoever. Minwoo Lee, this really interesting high talent player who is clearly trying to plug the second shot leak in his game. Well, this is one of the few spots. I mean, you look at this on the PGA Tour schedule. How often do I come here and say around the green and putting are highly correlated to success compared to other golf courses? How often do I come here and say, wow, strokes gained approach? Yeah, it's still pretty high because it's always going to be high, but it's 43rd on, out of 50 some odd courses. Like I rarely say that. So I think there's a scenario in which we are allowing Minwoo to lean into some of his strengths, which is a very stout short game, a scorching hot putter that has picked up 15 strokes over his last 14 rounds, something like that, and maybe downplaying a little bit of the approach struggles. Now, he's been better, still capable of losing a lot. He lost 8 strokes at Bay Hill. I worry about some of the water coming into play, all that fun stuff. But I do think that this is a kind of a unique golf course, and Minwoo Lee's stat profile is quite unique that they might align and they might match up for this week. Here's the 8K range. And now let me there was that huge drop off from Rory Scotty to the 9K range. The drop off from the 8K range is almost indistinguishable. And in fact, I would argue there are a lot of really good plays in the 8K range that are better than the ones in the 9K range. I'm going to start with Alex Smalley here. I suspect he is going to be incredibly popular, and I believe that he should be. When we went back and looked at the power rankings, last 36 rounds, he's the 5th best player in this field. You looked at the adjusted course fit, he got the 2nd best adjusted course fit. If you go and look at everybody who's played on tour since the start of 2025, he's the 4th best player in this field, and he's $8,200. What does Alex Smalley do better than most of his peers? The short game stuff. I know it wasn't good at Valspar. He had 2 very bad rounds at Valspar. Fine. The rest of his 2025, and even dating back to really the start of the fall schedule, have been phenomenal. Bunch of top 20 finishes, bunch of top 10 finishes, and I love him on more difficult-ish golf courses. He's been able to put up good results in Mexico and the American Express and places that you need to go low as well. But I love him getting up and down from green side, separating himself in that manner. He's played here 3 times. Missed the cut last year, finished 4th in 2022, and he finished T15 in 2021. I think that he is probably the most mispriced golfer in this field. I think he's going to be incredibly popular. He's $8,200. You're not going to get any arguments from me about I was going to say exposing yourself to Alex Smalley. Maybe a few arguments on that, but playing him in a lot of situations. Michael Kim, the bounce back was very quick. Michael Kim has had 1 bad round in 7 tournaments. It just happened to come on Thursday at the Players, and then he missed the cut on the number. Outside of that, he's been spectacular. In fact, if I just go, strokes gained by round, sort this by strokes gained total, best players in this field, probably need to shorten it up for Michael Kim. But since 2025, I mean, he's the 5th best player in this field. Look at his rounds here. So these are his rounds this year. He is literally, since the Phoenix Open, he has lost strokes to the field 4 times in, 30 rounds? One of them was less than a quarter of a stroke to the negative. One was less than half a stroke. One was basically a third of a stroke. Another half a stroke, and then that really bad round. So even the below average rounds have been less than a stroke below average outside of the Thursday at the Players Championship. The rest are awesome. Just really doing it in a variety of ways. I know that he was the shiny new object, and I feel like people have just moved on because he missed the cut at the Players Championship when he was $5,800 or whatever it was. Like, dude, what are we doing here? He has played phenomenal golf. He is, along with Alex Smalley, still probably mispriced. So $8,200 for Alex Smalley, $8,700 for Michael Kim. We can continue to roll on here. Steven Yeager won this event last year. He's coming in playing a lot better now than he was. Even outside the win last year, he finished T9. If you want to play a lot of Steven Yeager, get after Steven Yeager. Let me talk about some guys that we don't talk about as much. I'm going to pull up Thomas Dietrich and Jacob Bridgman here. So Dietrich, we were kind of waiting to see what he was going to do after the win. So he wins in Phoenix, by far the biggest win of his career, and then he does what most guys do. And they take a deep breath and they exhale and they go, oh my gosh, okay, I've got a job and I've got, an extra $1,000,000 or whatever. And golf is hard for the next couple of starts. And that's exactly what we saw. But the Valspar finish where everything but off the tee, he was awesome. He gained 3 strokes on approach, a stroke around the green, 2 with the putter. That is much more in line with what we see when Thomas Dietrich is playing his best golf. He ends up finishing T22nd there. Only 1 round he lost to the field. That was on Saturday. It was by less than half a stroke. He played here last year. He finished runner-up. That big pack, I think like 5 or 6 guys finished in second. That big pack, Thomas Dietrich was in that. So to me, this is a really good spot to say, okay, I know the type of player that Thomas Dietrich is. He's a very, very good player in a much kind of weaker field. He's a little bit probably underpriced, and he's playing, it looks like he's playing again like the golfer that we saw to start the year where he would obviously go on to win. Jacob Bridgman's year did not start as well, but when he got to Mexico, he started to play a lot better. He's got a runner-up finish at Cognizant, a 3rd place finish at Valspar, and he's now made 5 cuts in a row. The only concern that I have around Jacob Bridgman is I don't know what type of player he is. We see this on a different level from Patrick Cantlay. Patrick Cantlay is obviously a much better golfer, but it's just like some weeks he's going to drive it well, some weeks he's going to be really bad. And then he's going to putt to a +3 and he's going to lose 5 the next week. It's just like there's not a lot of consistency in his game. So a 3rd place finish for Bridgman where he loses strokes on approach. A 50th where he loses everywhere but on approach. And then Bay Hill gains everywhere but approach, right? And it's just like I don't never know what I'm going to get from him. But the good news is he's got the finishes that result in good finishes, resulting the stat profile is resulting in good finishes despite the weirdness of how he gets there. He still puts up basically a +3 to +4 strokes gained tee to green number every single week, and he has the ability to get very, very hot. So I think he is a little bit riskier than some of these other guys, but I think he is worth a fair bit of consideration because of how he is able to get to, I don't want to say the top of the leaderboard, but like the meaty part of the leaderboard for sure. All right, the 7K range, and just a lot of really good options here. Joe Highsmith, the disrespect, right? The guy wins and does the thing that I've described already in this show and a variety of times over the last 10 years. He takes a breath and he misses the cut at Bay Hill and immediately bounces back, has a great run at the Players Championship, has a very good run at Innisbrook, where yes, he lost strokes on Thursday, he lost strokes on Sunday, still finished T22nd. The putter's the key. The putter unlocks everything. Now we're at 5 events in a row that he's gained strokes with the putter. Joe Highsmith to me continues to be underpriced. He finished 21st here last year. He lost strokes putting. If we give him just the average of what he's done in the last 5 starts, let's give him like 2 more strokes there. He probably finishes, yeah, pretty darn good inside the top 10, I would assume. So yeah, Highsmith just the absolute disrespect. On the flip side, the absolute disrespect from me on Davis Riley is probably ready to be tempered. I'm not super convinced yet, but here's what's clear. He's playing better golf. He's now, after missing like 7 cuts in a row, he's made 4 in a row, and 2 of them are top 10 finishes, including last week. He still struggles to drive the ball. He's going to lose off the tee almost certainly around Memorial Park, but he's picked up strokes on approach in his last 4. The around the green play, which can be a crutch for him, still very good in his last 3 measured. And then the putter, of course, in 5 of his last 6, and that doesn't even include Puerto Rico because they don't keep track of strokes gained putting there, was positive in those weeks. Then you look at his Houston Open history and you see green, 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 3 trips, increasingly better results, 29th, 27th, and 14th. The last 2 without the putter. I think that this game is being held together by sticks and air, and it could come crashing down at any moment. But I think there is enough here at $7,600 with the peers that are around him to be fairly positive on Davis Riley this week. Nick Taylor. Nick Taylor is probably one of the better golfers in this field. just pedigree wise, he's already been a winner this year. He has missed one cut in 2025. It happened to be at the Players Championship. I am not going to be upset for any player in this field who missed the cut at the Players Championship. I just still love the approach numbers. You know, the rest of it, he's got a putt like he did at Sony and like he did at points in California. But yeah, I mean, this is a great spot. Well rested Nick Taylor, who's got one of the better pedigrees in this field, goes back to Memorial Park for the third time. Played here in 2021, 41st, played here in 2022, missed the cut, hasn't played here since. Not too worried about that. Nico Echeverria, right? When you deploy Nico Echeverria, he is usually going to pay off. You know, he kind of gives you these building blocks. You know, he's a very, very streaky golfer. He goes, you know, win 6th, 29th, runner up, 32nd, runner up. That's a good streak. You know, prior to that, it was like missed cut, 11th, cut. And then after that, it was like cut, 77th, cut. You know what I mean? So he's a very streaky golfer. I think we might be starting to enter another streak. I love what he's been doing with the putter ever since the start of the year. He's only lost strokes putting once, and it was at the American Express, which is only one for him. It was only one measured round at PGA West. What he did at Valspar, the combination of the plus approach play with the plus putter is usually a very good thing for Nico. He's played here once. He missed the cut. I think that there is legit top 10 upside in Nico, and he's priced at $7,400. I think he's potentially entering one of those streaks. And then Lee Hodges, we have not seen Lee Hodges since Phoenix. Lee Hodges is back, baby. Lee Hodges still has not missed a cut in 2025. He hasn't missed a cut since the Zozo Championship, in fact. And since then, which is like 8 starts, he's got 4 of them inside the top 16. He is well noted as kind of like a short game specialist, right? He does his work with the putter and around the greens, and that's kind of how he gets going. But he's been a much better ball striker in 2025. I bet you if I look up, well, oh man, I could really cherry pick this and say go back to. I probably won't do that. Well, it's okay. Let's just, while we're here, go back to Sanderson Farms. So exactly Sanderson. I could actually really cherry pick and say go back to Black Desert, but he gained strokes. Okay, so let's go since what would that be? Like October 1st. Really cherry pick this thing. See how good Lee Hodges has been since October 1st of 2024 compared to this field. He's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th best player in this field, 38 rounds. He's gaining a stroke per round. It's pretty cherry picky, but I like it. What else do we have here? Anybody else in the 7K range? You know, I'm fence sitting on Ricky Fowler. You could push me in either direction there. Rico Hoey shows up as one of the better breakout candidates. So if you go to the trends tool, last 36 rounds, you know, Michael Kim straight up, which is good. It's not great, but it's not the best, but it's very, very good. Nick Taylor is in that direction. Then you start to get even better and better, and it's like Taylor Moore, Alejandro Tosti, Thorbjorn Olsen. Then you go even farther. You get Padraig Harrington, but probably not too worried about that because he's got like senior tour stuff in there. And then you get Rico Hoey, who is like in that optimal quadrant all by himself. And the reason for that is because the guy is just hemorrhaging strokes on the putting surface. And I do worry that because this is such a not putting dependent, but guys that have success here are guys that putt really well. I'm impressed by the rest of his game. The rest of his game is awesome. If this was a TrackMan auto putt league, Rico Hoey would be one of the best players in the world. Unfortunately for him, it is not. It is the PGA Tour, and you have to actually finish your ball to the bottom of the cup. Let's look at the 6K range. I do not like this range. I think it is top heavy. I think it is bottom heavy. And the bottom that is weighing it down are not necessarily stars or anything of that nature. I really don't love this. I think Mac Meisner is my favorite, and I'm not sure it's particularly close. He's got some flaws, certainly, but what he did at Valspar, where he picked up 7.5 strokes on approach, the way that he has been stout around the greens for the entirety of the year, I think that he is probably my favorite. He is $6,900. I like some of these guys for like single rounds at a time, right? We have seen Patrick Fishburne's unbelievable firepower over the course of his career, but he's been unable to put multiple rounds together. Same thing for kind of like Alejandro Tosti, Michael Thorpe Bjornsson. Those are guys that are seemingly very good in one round and struggle in other situations. I want to look at Henrik Norlander's profile because he had a decent finish at Valspar, and I wanted to see, So the good news is, I mean, Norlander's a horrible putter, but he's picked up strokes putting in each of his last two. The Players' Championship, he gained both rounds, and then at Valspar, he picked up strokes in 3 out of 4. So that's 5 out of 6. This would be okay. Again, not thrilled. He's $6,700. I think there's a lot of problems with that game that could come back to bite him for this week, but I think that he is reasonable. Outside of that, yikes, right? I mean, we're getting down to Danny Willett, just trusting Frankie Sappin or Padraig Harrington. I don't really love any of that. I'd be interested to see what the model has to say, which I guess we can just run right now. Custom model, RickRunGood.com. So what I'll do here are, so this is fun because this is going to be a unique one. We've got to put a pretty significant weight on the short game category. So let's go strokes gained around the green in the last 36. Not usually something that fluctuates too much. Maybe we should just go 50 for 15, and strokes gained putting last 24. I will take a little bit shorter of a run here for 15. So that's 30. I'm not done with short game because I am going to do, I want to do bonus putting, which I thought was pretty important. And then I'll do Bermuda putting, but I almost had a misclick there. So, okay. So then what I'll do is, and actually if I really want to get freaky, I've already got half my weights on short game stuff. Why don't I just do scrambling as well? 10 there. Not going to do sand saves because, not a lot of sand around these greens. I could also do 15 on strokes gained. Hold on. Then I'm not going to have any ball striking stuff. Well, I guess that would also be considered. Strokes gained par 3s for 10. There's 5 of them. Then we could also go long courses for 10. Leaves us with 20. All right. So then the last 20, what I'll do is I'll do weighted strokes gained total because there's a lot of different types of players in this field. Wow. What a freaky result that was. I knew I was getting a little frisky there. You're never going to hear me say this ever. Jacob Bridgman's number 1 in the model. Bo Hostler 2, Harris English 3. I probably should have done some bogey avoidance stuff. Rory is 4. So I'll just point it out right now. Scotty Scheffler's 13th. It's by far the lowest he's been in a very long time. Again, this is the weirdest, just strangest model that I've run in a really long time. Rory is resolute here at the top. Right? If I would have done, I basically went against a lot of what makes Rory really good, and he's still 4th. Harry Hall is 5th. Sung Jae is 6th. There's Dietrich, 7th. Yeah, Dietrich's pretty sneaky, I think. Zach Johnson is 8. There he is. Minwoo Lee is 9. Griffin is 10. I'll just give you Michael Kim is 11. Alex Smalley is 12. Then Scotty Scheffler is 13. Wow, I need to save this because I am going to forget how I got here. Let me save this model. We can talk about it on the Tuesday live chat. This is Houston Monday. Wow. Very short game heavy. Very, very interesting. Okay. Well, we've got work to do. Links for everything you need are in the description. Go sign up for RickRunGood.com. I think you'll like it. If you don't, obviously I'll make it right. But yeah, best of luck this week. Talk to you guys soon.